Oh, can you do this thing once you have that thing settled? This is not the Jesse Lee Peterson show. It's the Hake Report. What's up, guys? It's at 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles, and I should be live on all platforms. It is very fun times right now, because let me do this. And, oh, this thing didn't kick on. Or did it? I'm just turning on my Stream Deck. I thought that I turned it on.
Something funny again? Do you see red squares?
No, it's coming on now.
Okay, good.
I will have Crishaun the Don here of the Misfit Nation. I don't think I have him unmuted yet, but I will. Oh, Anchor Baby has him unmuted. What's up, Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation?
What is good, Mr. Hake? How are you?
All is well, man. Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Guys, we had a fiery, explosive, and fun Jesse Lee Peterson Black Friday on, and Crishaun the Don was on as a guest in the final half hour of the show. And so that was really cool. Thanks for coming on to the Jesse Lee Peterson show, Crishaun.
Of course, always an honor to talk to the good Reverend.
Indeed.
And also, I wouldn't even call it explosive. It's the way men should talk.
That's right.
It's just men having a conversation and
Yep.
not being emotional, not being angry at each other. We're just hashing it out.
And in some cases, if some of the men get emotional or angry, you cut them slack, and then they calm down, and all is well. Because what you said reminds me of Ronnie versus Mark. I don't know if you caught that call at the end of one of my shows.
I actually watched it a few times.
It was an instant classic, man.
Really good.
Yeah. So we have. Let me do this. Vring, vring. We're getting started here, guys. You can call in. Crishaun the Don will be here for the Hake Report as my guest, and he wants to talk about he wants to get in on this conversation that we've been having all week about if whites left the country, what would happen? Do you see whites disappearing? And we were talking about South Africa today, which is also pertinent because 59 refugees should be just a drop in the bucket, barely worth any mention, but it's beautiful and it's nice. It's a change. It's a welcome change for my taste. By Trump, thank you. And they are always concerned about the few or the one. You know, you notice the mainstream media is always like, Kilmar, Avrego, Garcia. Those were photoshopped knuckle things,
tattoos,
MS-13 tattoos. And so they're always concerned about the they know that statistics and facts don't change anything. They know that anecdotes matter to people, really. We are emotional people. Anecdotes are real reality. It brings it home when you have an anecdote. And I support that thinking, actually. But anecdotes can either lead you towards reality or away from reality, depending on how honest you are.
The problem is their anecdote is the exception.
Right. Whereas
It's not like oh, there's also 1,000 more like this that are getting lost in the system. That's what they try to make you think.
right.
But it's like, no, it's not really.
Yeah.
Not really it.
It's totally not it. But it's and actually in many cases their exception is not even a good example of an exception, because he turned out to be a bad hombre. And Mike Brown really was didn't have his hands up. And Trayvon Martin really was killed in self-defense. And all their exceptions and anecdotes are even fake examples.
When you can't even find an exception.
Yeah. That's why communists were, according to a historical researcher, I forget what he called himself, independent researcher, Chad O. Jackson, many of the church bombings were by communists to frame the KKK. What a mess.
But
So,
do you think, Hake, that like the exception really doesn't exist because they can't
they
find it,
might.
or do you think? Well, that's what I was gonna say. Or do you think is it because I have this theory that sometimes I think it's the media that's part of the media's plan. They're still trying to have us argue about stuff when there might be actually better examples out there.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's take the real example of Dylan Storm Roof.
Mhm.
And what you said about the media, he's sort of a media creation in addition to being, raised by failing parents. He didn't have his father and he became angry like so many others and identified with the whiteness and wanted to start a race war. And so he shot up the blacks at the black church. But part of it was because he heard all of this hype about racism, and then he looks around and looks up the statistics and black on white crime and stuff. He's like, no, it's actually the other way around. They've been lying to me. So the liars in the media, the mainstream media, are provocateurs because they provoked him, an angry man, to even more anger. Whereas the truth is uniting, I think.
Yeah, and I think the media is aware that when white people see people defending a guy like a Brago,
Right.
it angers them.
Yeah,
And
totally.
the media likes to make white people angry. That's
Totally,
that's
man.
their goal. They do it with black people easily. Like that's not even a hard goal anymore.
What a shame, too. They're just such pawns. They're so predictable to fall for the mainstream narratives. Like, they just say one thing because the media presents it as though it's reasonable, but it's not if you look into it. But they will buy into it because of their hatred and anger and quick to dismiss of the whites or whoever. What a
Yeah.
mess.
And that's why my focus has become that I really believe that it's starting to work on white people now.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And that's where I think like it maybe I hope that white people, and I believe white people, are more reasonable than that.
Right. But
So that's why I
when you
focus on that.
IQ will not protect them when they have anger, because when you're angry, you believe lies.
Yeah.
Very quick
And
to
sometimes
believe lies.
when you have a higher IQ, you become really arrogant.
Yeah,
And
true.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a let me dip away from this briefly before I get started with the show, everybody. Here, let me take that away for just a second. I saw this Bible verse that I thought was really nice. Somebody mentioned Job on Jesse Lee Peterson's YouTube video on Bond about taking care of animals. And I looked at the whole chapter, because this chapter in Job 12 has a verse about animals. Even the animals and the bushes declare they know that God is real. But this doesn't have anything to do with animals, but in Job 12:5, Job states, I think, in the thought of one who is at ease, there is contempt for misfortune. It is ready for those whose feet slip. Because Job, as you may know, was suffering through no fault of his own. Satan was allowed to test him and test his faithfulness to God, because Satan accused Job of only loving God because he was doing well in life, blessings from God. And so he gave him curses. And Job, although he faltered, he never cursed God. But he said he was talking about his friends who were doing fine, but they were sinners, maybe. But they had contempt for him in his misfortune. And Joel Friday this week has talked about that. He once judged the homeless bums, and they are bums, but he judged them. And then he was in a situation where he literally got hungry for days, didn't eat, couldn't afford. So there was some issue with his bank and stuff. And I noticed with my back is messed up, or I have a runny nose. It happens a lot to me. But then when I don't have a runny nose and I don't have a beta back, and then I see somebody else hobbling and being hurt and injured or sick, that thought of looking down, that person is living wrong. Maybe partly because I'm judging myself as living wrong. And so there is that contempt for misfortune when you're at ease. And that is true. That is true. So just wanted to acknowledge that there's evil in everybody. Those thoughts. Anyway.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Pretty deep. That's why you got to humble yourself.
That's right. Yeah, you can't get cocky.
No. It's very simple.
That's right. So, anyway, guys. Oh, here. Let me get started with this. We got to get started because we haven't even gotten started. So, let's just get right on with the show.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys! I hope you're enjoying the AJ Gallardo, Americanized Mexican original theme song of the Hake Report. You can call in and talk with Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation podcast and Hake.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I have my t-shirt, The Great Black Hope, on. Crishaun has his MAGA, Make America Great Again t-shirt on, or hat on. And he, in the background, he has a t-shirt that says The Misfit Nation, I think. And shopthemisfitnation.com? Is that what that is?
Shopmisfitnation.com.
Shopmisfitnation.com. He is with us. Crishaun the Don, Crishaun. Crishaun, the Don, Thedon, on X, the Misfit Nation.
I spelled it like a colored guy.
Okay. Here I was assuming, or am I wrong, that I thought that was your legal first name, but I don't want to dox.
It is.
Nice. Okay.
Let's
So
go
your
with that.
parents spelled it like a POC as well. I
Yeah.
guess.
My mother thought she was a black woman at that moment.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And just to refresh, you are Chinese, Indian, Jamaican, and what all else?
Yeah, you pretty much covered my my POC side.
Right. And Irish.
Irish, Italian. And I just found out I'm a little bit English.
Hey, shout out.
Hey, I'm legitimate white, guys.
Crishaun is an Anglo. Part Anglo.
Exactly. I'm part Anglo.
That's awesome. That's why you think so straight.
Thank you.
I don't think you would necessarily think that that's why, but nice. Right on. Cool, man. Okay, is it called Caribbean or Caribbean?
I mean, I think it could be pronounced either way.
Yeah, true. Okay, man.
My family says Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually from there. They say Caribbean.
Okay, so they have some say, I suppose.
I would think so.
You know, man.
But wasn't it a white guy named it the Caribbean?
Maybe.
Or am I wrong?
I don't know.
Christopher Columbus or something?
Probably, because we called it Pirates of the Caribbean. It wouldn't sound right saying Pirates of the Caribbean. That would sound too like a vacation.
Yes. It doesn't. It sounds more epic, Caribbean.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So what did you want to come on about? Because you have wanted to get in on this race issue. Before I get to any of the calls, we've been talking this week about, somebody asked, Alex from California, by way of his Australian friend, asked what would happen if all the whites left America and left it as is. And there was other stuff that went on this week on the Hake Report, and you guys over there on the Misfit Nation always having interesting conversations. What do you have to say, Crishaun the Don?
Well, honestly, I didn't even really like think that question out. That wasn't the part that I was talking about, but I'll engage with it.
Okay.
It is a weird hypothetical because it's one of those hypotheticals that's never going to happen. I don't think it's possible that it's going to happen. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't think America would be America anymore.
Yeah.
Who would be left? Hispanics and blacks and Indians and
Asians.
yeah,
Yep.
pretty much everybody, but yeah, whites. I don't know. But the question, the bigger question is, where would whites go?
They wouldn't be born. I don't know.
Is it that they don't exist? I
Right.
don't understand the premise really.
Oh,
of the
it was
question.
just by one way or another. What would happen with the country if we were to leave it to the POCs?
I took the question as if white people all got mad in unison one day and just said, you know what, we're out of here. But ultimate black fatigue, right?
Yeah.
In that scenario, I mean, I think, America would become, South Africa.
Yeah.
It would just be another third world country. Now that again, like it depends on like, are the people that are they left with our infrastructure that we have now and all the stuff and the laws and
Yes.
they just
yeah.
need
They
is to
have
put people
all
in
of our
place.
stuff. Yep. They have everything. They have the keys, the codes.
They have the Constitution.
Yep.
They just
Yeah.
No, it'd fall apart.
Yeah.
It'd fall apart.
It's terrible.
White people are too good at systems.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Like white people aren't good at dancing or, they're good at music, stuff like that. But white people are really good at systems, making systems
Yeah.
and having people follow that system and that system leading to some kind of success.
Right.
So that's where we would fail. Because look at like India. India literally has like two different governments working at the same time. It's
wow.
it's a mess.
Yeah.
So-
The Asians, some like the Chinese, they are able to enforce some compliance, but they don't have the. In addition, they are able to do systems, I think, and some compliance, and seem apparent respect, but they have a get cheated. That's your fault culture.
Yes.
It's your fault if you got cheated. And I kind of like and respect that on some level, but it's a dishonest culture, I think. Seems to be quite dishonest.
Untrustworthy.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Whereas-
Because I've heard that there's like if like your friend sees somebody stealing your wallet, they won't say anything because it's your fault.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of their culture.
right. And it kind of is your fault, but
It
But
is.
there's-
But as a friend, you don't.
right. And that doesn't lead to, I don't think that it leads to as much prosperity as the whites would have if the whites kept their high trust society culture, where you don't necessarily, there's a little bit more. I mean, the boomers and older people used to decry the fact that we used to just, on a handshake, now you have to have all these contracts and fine print. And there's a lower and lower trust society now, whereas it's better it's more efficient if you just don't have to lock your door. You can trust people to do what they say they're going to do and stuff like that. It seems like you would thrive more efficient, because you don't have to take all of this time and precaution and lawsuits and mess to function.
I agree with you. However, there's a part of me that because I think about this all the time. And is it that we want a utopia?
Kind of.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
we
But-
have to lock our doors at night because there's scumbags out there that'll come in your house. So it's like, yes, in a perfect world, I agree with you, Hake, but it just isn't it's not that. It's reality.
But what's funny is that it was that for a while for some areas. You know, it's kind of like they created in Orania, South Africa. I don't know if you're familiar with Orania, South Africa.
No, actually.
They don't let. It's a place.
The one Jesse was talking about.
Yeah, in South
Yeah,
Africa,
yeah.
they're allowed to make enclaves of minority-only areas, since the Afrikaners, the white South African founding stock, are minority, they're allowed to do it, and not allow any blacks or coloreds or mixed, which is coloreds, I think, in. And in addition to that, they also don't allow any white Afrikaner criminals in, I guess, according to what I've heard. And their little enclave city is doing better than the whole rest of the country. They are practically completely self-sufficient. They don't lose power, or they're hoping to get where they don't lose power when the whole rest of the country does. So it's been done. It's being done. It was the case in some of our lifetimes, and now they're redistributing ghettos into all the high trust areas. And so it's not just an imagination of a utopia. It is possible in practical reality, even with the whites being, and every human being being evil. There is a functional, less blatant evil where you can function better. You know, so.
No, I get you. You're like, it's almost like having I mean, it's tribalism,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you find people who are like-minded, and you build a city for those people.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I mean,
but tribalism with good functioning values.
Yeah, I wasn't using it in a negative way.
Yeah, I know that, but it's more than just. It's more than just, oh, my team blindly. It's my team because my team functions better. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Then you also have to have some kind of common goal, some kind of common values.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big part of it. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, cool. So we got that one out of the way. Anything else before I get to calls?
No, we can go right to calls.
All right, sounds good, man.
Something else will spark.
Manuel in California is on the line. He's been on hold for a bit here. Manuel, thanks for calling and holding. I need to get to your super chats, by the way. What's up?
Oh, I forgot about those. Hey, morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well. You're live with
How are you?
Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation.
The Dawn.
Hello, sir.
Was my super chat a little too rough this morning, or what?
No, it was cool. I thought it was cool. Oh no, yeah, I didn't. I was playing like I didn't want to say bean because it's derogatory and racist or something. I don't know. I was playing around a little bit. You're fine.
That's what my dad used to call us growing up. He used to call us green beans.
Green beans.
We're half breeds, half Portuguese, half Mexican.
So the Portuguese
anyways,
part is green.
My grandpa used to call us half-breeds, too.
They call Portuguese greenhorns, as if green being like fresh off the boat, because they ship them over here too.
I see. Yeah, and you know what? You may have him pinned. I don't know.
I just thought it was kind of odd the way he was arguing that point. Like,
yeah.
It's almost as if like the same people that argue for abortion for ape-ray.
Yeah.
And it's like 1%, but they're arguing the 1%. So
right.
Like last year, the U.S. or Biden that year, 2024, took 100,000 refugees, and 59 refugees from South Africa. Which, if you divide that, it's 0.00059 of how many white people were taken in.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. They're arguing over this 0.00059%.
Yeah.
Wild.
Did you catch what he just said there, Crishaun? I don't know if you're aware of Joel's what is that called?
Disagreement.
Disagreement, yeah. I was going to use a Supreme Court word. Dissent. You heard of
Yeah,
Joel's
I-
descent, and he compared it to what he called ape-ray, which is R word, not the R word you're thinking, the other R word. I heard,
Oh,
I heard your
okay.
recent show, rape, abortion in the case of rape, ape-ray. We use all kinds of vernacular on the Hake Report. So, yeah, talking about these refugees is like talking about and fairness of POC refugees is talking about abortion in the case of rape, which is the vast minimum, the tiny minimum of what
Oh.
abortions actually are.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I disagreed with Joel's point about fairness. My thing is more I'm looking for, consistency. Like, so I don't think it's there's anything wrong with saying or asking the question of why are we responsible for helping the world with all their problems? And I question anybody who we're letting into the country. Like my thing is consistency. Just because they let in a bunch of Hispanics without vetting them doesn't mean we should do the same thing on our side. So it's not fairness. It's just I don't want to do the same thing they did, just going the other way.
Right.
Because then we go down the same path.
We'll see how many South Africans we let in. I liked that he only brought in 59, and I heard that they were vetted, and so that alone stands in stark contrast. It's not just the fact that they are South African, which is beautiful as well, because finally somebody on the international stage is acknowledging if we're gonna pretend to care about genocide, let's at least pretend to care about the South Africans because are one of the few with a legitimate claim.
Yeah, maybe.
It's so funny because I don't like the word genocide, but it's so funny because South Africa is the one who accused Israel of genocide. They're the ones who took them to the international court. Anyway. Sorry.
Well, that's the thing too. I don't want us to be like where if anybody wants to come in this country, they just have to claim genocide.
Yeah. No,
And
they have to be contributors. That was
but
another
is there-
thing. Did you catch that they called them quality seeds who will bloom?
Yeah, I think I saw. I don't know who it was, but they did a little video package.
That was the State Department.
Yeah.
That was government propaganda, which I would support. Because they're farmers. They're farmers, and so they're gonna bloom where planted in America.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I hope they contribute. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
But again, now when we get into like vetting, right? It's like, what are they vetting? Are they vetting that did they have a, obviously, do they have a criminal past? Are they tied to any terrorists, anything like that? But are they also vetting what they, what are their, core values in their life? Will they be able to assimilate to America? It's
an interesting question. It would be interesting to see what the vetting questions or exploration was.
Yeah. And then you're going to start having a situation where you guys are going to start calling yourselves FWAs.
Right, foundational
what I mean?
white Americans.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
I'm just saying it's a possibility of like assimilation is a key point in immigration.
Definitely.
And I don't think anybody's talking. Well, people are talking about it, but I don't think anybody's really thoroughly like questioning, at least on our side, if they are being vetted and if they will assimilate.
Yeah. Right on.
I would assume since they're Christian, not that they're all, but if they are Christian, they'd probably be a better assimilation than if you brought in more Haiti, Venezuela. I don't even believe in bringing like Mexicans over here because they're Catholic. They believe in the woman's more powerful than, they just believe that Mary's a bigger figure. And, that doesn't really align with Christian ethics either. But that's my personal opinion on that, on the religious side of it. But what vetting process did they do during Iraq and the Haiti situation? They were just letting people in like crazy. But these 59.
Yeah, but
came
you're
in,
you're just
they're
throwing out a
better, but all-
whataboutism. Like I don't care. I know the liberals screwed that up, so I'm just saying we shouldn't do the same thing.
And I don't think that we are. I think that Trump is
Yeah,
the Trump administration is much more judicious. At least as far as I've seen so far, you know.
Trump sometimes though, this
Are
is
they
the
more
thing that
Christian in
with
South Africa than other places?
Yeah, and they're more normal Christian. There are liberal Christians over there who are part of the problem over there and just surrendering their country to communism, of course. And so all Christians are not the same, obviously. But yeah, they are more Christian per capita.
well that goes into what we were saying earlier, Hake, when you were saying, well, they didn't vote in the socialists who are taking their land.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are a lot of white liberals in America who are voting for socialists to take their land. I've seen it before. White
No, I
people are
know.
pretty stupid when it comes to that
Very
stuff.
true.
Now look at this though. When I looked at let me see if I can pull that up on X. When I looked at those people coming in, if I scroll down far enough on this, maybe I'll see it. It looked like father and mother with their children. And in the case of what they call family units, in terms of the people coming in, I scrolled past it, I guess, perhaps. Did I retweet the State Department? They have been calling family units a mother and a child, or some other like. I wonder where it is. I guess I didn't. But anyway, I might have it around here. They have been calling people who aren't families, and people who aren't families, you know, mother and child, or an adult and child. Look at this: father, children. Here we are. Look at them. Cute little white babies. I can't get away
Wonder
from
if
saying
they
white.
DNA tested them.
Yeah, but you're looking at fathers and mothers, presumably married with children, on the optics anyway. Based on my assumption, they are. That will breed more decent, pro-American, conservative, sensible stock, assimilating anchor babies, if they're allowed to become anchor babies. I don't know how long they're going to be here. Because let's say we clean up South Africa and send them back. That would be a nice contrast, because Ilhan Omar was a refugee and now she's in Congress, which is insane. Refugees are only supposed to be temporary. So, I don't know, maybe they'll stay here. But it's a definitely abused system. And so I definitely get where you're coming from, Crishaun.
Yeah, and let me make it clear, I'm not against them coming here.
Yeah.
That's not my point. And my point has nothing to do with the race of them.
Right.
Here's my thing though too, of where it comes to Trump sometimes. And if you can you actually scroll up a little bit where it was the press secretary?
Oh, okay. Where the Department of State?
No,
oops.
it's press secretary where
okay.
she's
This
at work
with
with the baby.
Oh, Lord.
Ugh. Now, this is where
Caroline
I think
Leavitt. Caroline Leavitt with a baby in hand, sucking on a bottle of either her milk or maybe it's formula, and she's at a computer in the White House.
and then it's got the caption super mom.
Right. Margot Martin said, walked into press secretary, typing with one hand, feeding her son with the other, blue heart emoji, super mom.
To me, as a conservative, I think that's a very sad sight to see.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is a good look for MAGA. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like where I don't understand how this and that's why I'm saying the Trump administration still sometimes does play into that, that agenda.
Right.
The feminist agenda a lot. I'd wish he'd back off of that a little bit more. Wish Trump was a sexist.
Yeah, I do. I get where you're coming from, and Trump is a bit more anti-racist than I prefer, but he's not a full-blown anti-white person. He's a boomer anti-racist.
Of course.
And I think he's a boomer pro-woman feminist. He's not a malicious sneak these people in. Yes, he should not be doing this, encouraging this.
Bad optics.
No, yes, he should not. But I'm not surprised that he did. It's not like he baited and switched us. This is what we knew that he was like. We knew that
I
he
know.
propped up his, and it's not right. I agree with you, and he's probably going to do different things that we disagree with. But he's still the man for the job, and overall, I'm pleased. I don't defend this though, but shout out.
Yeah. I agree.
She's
Can I
pretty.
change the subject real quick?
Yeah.
Real quick, just and then I'll get off. I just saw this like a week or two ago, but baby formula has like 5 times the amount of estrogen.
Whoa.
And I've always wondered, like, you see some kids when you're growing up, or like, I go to my kid's school and you can see like some boys are big and some boys are small. And I guarantee you half of those kids or most of those kids that are small were on body formula, and the kids that were big were actually off the tap.
Wow.
Interesting.
Maybe, man. Were you a formula baby? Were you a formula baby, Crishaun? You don't have to dox whether you were a formula baby or not. That's it.
I don't know. Honestly, that's one of those things that I leave. That's one of the few things I leave to the women. Is like there's preservatives in the food and red dye number 8. All right, that's you guys. I'm with it if it makes us healthier, but
right.
I'll go eat a burger. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm a dude.
It's an interesting question, man. You bring up a valid concern. I know that there have been other staff here on the JLP show who doxed themselves as having been formula babies. I won't name any names. I don't know if they doxed themselves publicly. You said Derek. I don't think Derek said, but
he's kind of small. He's tall, but
he's
not
slim. But he's in his early to mid 20s. I think he just has that leftover high school leanness. And actually, he used to be kind of big, and to the point where he was a touch fat, just a touch. And so he's clever. So he's gotten smarter with his eating habits, which is, it's good.
Anyways, I'll let you guys go. Crishaun, I really appreciate everything. Like, you're a smart dude, man. Even though we may not agree on everything, which I don't think we disagreed on much, but I just really appreciate your input on things and your stance. You're not afraid. You too, Hank.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, bro.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Good call.
Yeah. Speaking of good calls, Mark from Los Angeles is on the line. He has a question for Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation. Mark.
Yeah, Crishaun, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Mark?
Got a question about this, what would happen without white people. I mentioned this on the Hake report, the other day. We already have examples of what happens without the white power structure in charge. We have Haiti. We have South Africa. We have Rhodesia. We have the Reconstruction period after the Civil War. Black people were not built to lead. They're not fit to lead. They've never had a civilization in the history of the world. Arnold Toynbee, the greatest historian in world history, has made the statement, and I believe it. It's obvious. Black people have never created a single civilization in the history of the world. They have lower IQs than whites, and they're crime prone.
Hey,
So,
Mark, are you just like
question of
on
what would
script
happen
mode because
without
you're
white
not even
people should be
disagreeing with me or
self-explanatory.
agreeing with me?
Do you agree, Crishaun?
Sorry, go ahead. I was talking over you.
Repeat your question. We didn't catch it.
Okay. No problem. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay.
Can you hear Crishaun well?
Hello?
Can you hear Crishaun when he talks?
I don't. Not too good.
Oh, okay.
But did he hear my question?
No, I didn't hear the question.
He was talking over you, so he wants you to repeat your question.
Okay. To respond to the question about what would happen without white people, we have history.
Well, we heard that part. But you said something at the tail end after you mentioned Rhodesia and all these other countries that have gone down the tubes without the white power structure. What was your question at the end of that?
Well, I guess the basic question to him would be, do you agree that black people are not fit to lead, and therefore without the white power structure in power, they will fail, just like in every African nation on earth? That's the question.
I wouldn't necessarily say anybody's fit to lead, but I did admit that white people are much better at systems and organization and power structures. Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, that's one way to put it. But if you look at the history of the civilization makers, they've been practically all white. I can't give you the exact number that Toynbee wrote, but he said there was the largest number of known civilizations in world history were all created by white men, with the exception of some Asian nations. Some Asians have created civilizations too. But to this date, the Negro has not created a single civilization on Earth in world history. So doesn't that kind of answer our question?
No,
here?
you're conflating two different things in a way, in that like building a society and being fit to lead. Now, if you're talking about like an individual being fit to lead a team to success, I think there are black people that are successful with that.
Oh, you're talking about sports. I'll concede the Negro does better than the white man in sports. But I'm talking about world politics, world leadership, the people who built the country here, the U.S., the people that wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They weren't Negroes. They were white men. And as I've told you before, the Constitution was written by white men for white men. No matter what you say or try to bring up Thomas Jefferson, that doesn't change the fact he owned slaves, he didn't believe in equality, and this is a racist country, and I'm proud of it.
Okay, good for you. You're a shocking guy.
Well, do
let
you
me ask you a
agree,
question,
or am I
Mark.
wrong?
Mark,
Tell me
let me ask
wrong.
you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Well, wait, answer me first. Am I right?
I already
or wrong?
did. I already did.
I didn't
I
hear
said
a yes
you're
or
right.
no.
You're right to a degree.
Well, that's not an answer. That's double talk. Either I'm right or I'm wrong.
You're right on some things. You're wrong on other things.
What am
or
I
you're
wrong
just
on?
assuming on other things. Because again, because we're gonna get bogged down in nonsense. Because
No, you're bogging it down with semantics. You're trying to say, well,
that's
black
what a
people can
conversation
lead.
is. It's semantics.
No.
Let me ask you a question,
yeah, but
Mark.
It's a diversion.
Mark,
it's a
let me ask you a
diversion. You're
question.
not answering my question. But go ahead and ask me whatever.
I did.
you're-
I said white people are better at systems and running things.
It's more
yes.
than that. Okay, it's a lot more than that. You've concentrated a couple of words to make it look like, well, they're almost are equal. But it's so far from the truth.
What are you talking? What?
If we hadn't brought slaves in,
You're saying?
can
Wait,
you
no.
imagine
You're
how
saying
great-
that I'm saying that means blacks are equal to you in leadership.
No, I don't believe that.
Let me ask you a question, Mark. What have you ever leaded?
I'm not speaking for myself.
Yes, you
know,
are.
I'm not
You're
saying I'm
speaking
the
for you and your
greatest thing that
white
ever came
brethren.
Down the pipe.
What have you done? What have you done? What have you invented?
I haven't invented anything.
Okay, what are you doing about the crime problem in America?
Well, I can't afford to dox myself, but I've fought crime in my own way for many years. So that's what I've done. There's not much as a civilian that a white man can do for this country. They've got us boxed in. You try to organize a white man's group, and the FBI will be on your butt in a heartbeat. They don't want us organized. They don't want us together. They want guys like you to come in and try to change the subject or use tricky words to make the white man feel guilty. I'm not saying you've done that, but you do kind of.
You literally just said I've done that.
Pardon me?
That's my problem with you, Mark. You're so emotional, you don't even realize when you don't make sense. You just said,
What do you mean I don't
you just
make-
said I'm
what
doing
have
that,
I
and then
said
you go,
that
I'm
doesn't
not
make
saying
sense?
that you've done that.
Pardon me?
You go, white guy. You go. They want guys like me to come in and trick you into feeling guilty, and then you go, not that I'm saying you've done that. You literally just said I've done that. So what is it?
Well, like this issue about what would happen without white people. Instead of talking about friggin' systems, which most people don't know what the hell you're talking about, let's talk about the Constitution.
That's what
Let's
you're
talk
talking about. What
the
do you
Bill
think
of Rights.
leadership in politics is? It's all systems.
Okay, any way you want to put it. The fact is, the white man built this country. He wrote the Constitution, and he excluded Indians, Negroes, and all other non-whites.
White men built this country because they
That's
used
right.
to have they used to be brave. and they used to do it by force. You've
Right.
lost your force because you're no longer brave, Mark. White people are
Are
cowards.
you talking about me personally or the
All
race?
of you. All of you, the race.
Well, okay, then what do you want me to do? What should I do?
Protect
What can I do
protect
within the
yourself,
boundaries of
protect
the
your
law?
families, protect your country, protect your neighborhoods.
Okay, we do.
No, you don't.
But we're still being overruled by judges
You're still
who hate the
victims.
white race. We're being infiltrated by spies and white haters, and even Trump has been in how do you put it?
Infiltrated?
The people that worked in Trump's first administration were snakes. Okay, and if it wasn't for the FBI, we would have a strong white organization to protect our constitutional rights, which we're losing, even under Trump. And I'll just say this: I don't want to change subjects, but I got to tell you, if we lose this court battle on these what do you call it, national restrictions, these judges, these communist judges that are stopping Trump's agenda, if we lose this court battle this week, or whether the decision comes out today or next week, the Trump agenda is paralyzed, and the evil will continue. We have so many illegal alien criminals in detention centers that these commie judges won't deport. They're rioting in the detention centers. They're threatening to take guards as hostages. What are we supposed? And we can't deport them because of a judge.
It's crazy.
So the white man's frustrated at every angle. We elect a white man to clean this country up, and the courts jump in the way.
Yeah. Well,
So, do you have any answers? What is your solution, Crishaun? What do you think the white man should do?
I just told you.
Oh, you mean all that?
You got to be brave again. You got to stop being scared of getting in trouble. You got to stop being scared of getting killed. You think this country was built because white men were afraid to die? No, they were willing to die for their country and willing to die for their freedom.
Right.
You're not.
But it doesn't have to come to
You're
street
far
battles.
removed from the founding fathers, and you think you're still a founding father. That's
No,
the thing.
I don't say I'm a founding father, but I agree with what they tried to do. Like I've told Hake, I think the founding fathers are up in heaven looking down on us and said, look, we gave you guys an all-white country, a constitution to fall back on. We got rid of the Indians. We put the Negro in check, and you still screwed up. That's what I think.
So what
And
happened to
and
the
I think
system?
I
What happened to
consider
the great
myself-
white leadership? That's the question. If it's all about this whiteness and blackness thing, what happened to the great white leadership in this country?
Well, for example, George Lincoln Rockwell, the greatest white leader of our time, was killed. A lot of them were persecuted, a lot of our great white leaders. And that's the problem. Today's KKK and Nazi Party are nothing but honeypot schemes by the FBI to get names and information on white supremacists. That's all it is. So what do we do? You're saying organize. You're saying do this. Well, I don't know.
I don't know if he said organize. He said
Okay,
return to
I'll-
bravery and,
Okay, well,
and
you
lack
have
of
to
fear.
organize to make this work.
I'm talking about a
Okay.
mentality, Mark. You're like 10 steps ahead of what even should happen. Like, because even if you came up with a plan, it would be
We don't have
completely
the quality
emotional,
of people. Yeah, we don't have. We need.
and it would be
Well, 77 million of us voted for Trump.
But voting for Trump, you know, many Trump voters are snakes as well.
Well,
Unfortunately,
I agree.
A
but
lot
if
of them
they
are
voted-
coming out
if they
saying
took
they regret it now.
Yeah, they're
No,
suckers.
no, that's a myth. That's fake news.
It may be
What he
fake news,
said.
but there's probably
I think it's believable.
yeah,
It's 2% at best.
yeah.
I
but still,
see you've been duped by the media.
no. But his point is,
Sorry.
he's talking about a
You've
return
been duped
to
by the media.
He's talking about a return to strong character, which is a
I
which is
know,
a valid
but
point.
when he said Trump's
Here's
got
my other point.
regretting
Here's my other
voters-
point. Hold on, Mark. You've been duped by the media and you've been defeated by the liberals because the liberals wanted this. They wanted you to be hypersensitive about your race and to attach it to politics. You're just like the Negroes now. You fell for the
Not at
CRT thing. You're doing
I'm not trying
exactly
to
what
move
they
into a
want.
Negro
You
neighborhood.
get mad. You're telling me I've been duped by the media, but you still get mad at news stories.
No. When you bring up about Trump losing popularity, that's a media myth. That's
I
an
didn't say he
outright
lost
lie. It's been
popularity. I
proven.
said there's
It's a
white people
proven
that have
lie.
voted for
And
him
you're
that came
promoting
out and
it
said
on
they
the Hake
regret it.
Show.
All right,
it's plausible that people have regretted voting for Trump. I think it's plausible.
It's possible, but that doesn't mean it's true. Hey, Hake, can I say one thing before you go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell Terry I didn't mean to offend her. I'm very sorry if I hurt her feelings, but I never even mentioned her name.
Oh, okay.
So you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep, yeah. She called in saying that I didn't defend her when you allegedly said something about her. And,
I never even mentioned her name.
Right. Well, I know,
Okay,
but you don't have to
guys.
mention her name. Thank you, Mark.
Have a good weekend, man. Thank you.
All right,
Nice.
Mark. Good talking to
You
you.
as well. Wow, interesting times, man. I like the point that you raised. It's interesting, man.
Thank you. And Mark made some great points too. I'm not saying he's completely wrong at all.
No, yeah, I know that.
He's very right on a lot of things.
LINGYU, a first-time caller. Am I pronouncing your name right? Out of Los Angeles, LINGYU. Are you there?
Hi, I talked to
Hey.
I talked to James Hake.
Yeah, this is James Hake. Is this LINGYU?
Hello, James.
Yeah.
I called to talk about the immigrants.
Okay.
We
cool.
have the immigrant in China.
You do? Oh yeah, you have the Uyghur Muslims in China.
Uyghurs.
Yeah, I watch the show. I see for example, I see the Lin Yen Chin. In my province in the Guangdong, everybody they hate the Lin Yen Chin.
They hate him, but he's
That
mixed.
family, that family, they don't like it.
They hate Lin Yen Chin, but that's because Lin Yen Chin is different in his communication.
Yeah,
and Lin Yen Chin is kind of a Nazi. Sorry, go ahead, LINGYU.
The Nazi, yeah.
Well, in terms of he's just so
you
strict.
Had in your chat. In your chat, you had the Nazi. I see that guy, the Asian version. He don't like the Jew.
Oh, well, that's typical. There's a lot of people who are haters of the Jews. But it's good they're in my chat because then they hear the message of love for the Jews.
Yeah, and the other one I see the other one in your chat too.
Well, I don't want to talk about my chat.
Talk about the weed.
I thought you wanted to talk about South Africa, LINGYU.
Well, I told you I get the same anger in Los Angeles because they call me a lot of names. They call me like the chink and stuff like that.
Yeah, shout out. Does that hurt your
And I
feelings?
see that they have a lot of anger for the.
Yeah.
Well, I try to deal with the anger. I try to deal with the anger like I see about the silent prey. But that one I tried that one like the Buddhism we have that one don't work.
The silent prayer doesn't work for you?
That was the same we have in China, the Buddhism.
Buddhism doesn't work for you?
To be the silent and
meditation.
Not to take the anger. No, that one for the body.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, but the silent
when they
prayer
call
is
me
a
the
little.
chink, okay, fine, no problem. They call me the chink. I'm from China. Okay, I accept that one.
Right.
But sometimes they call me the goop. That one for the Vietnam.
That's Vietnamese, huh? Yeah. That's not right.
And let's be honest, that's the funniest of all.
Or they call me the Jap. I'm not Japan.
Right.
Why they call me that one make me angry?
That's because they're boomers. They don't know the difference.
They don't understand the immigrants.
I know, but I know we call all Latinos Mexican. You just have to deal with it.
I thought that was purposely. Isn't that purposely done half of the time?
Yeah, because you all look the same. Yeah. It's they're trying to get under your skin and they're succeeding. Maybe.
Is he from China?
Are you from China,
Yeah,
LINGYU?
that would make me the anger.
Let me ask you a question. Do you
from the
all
Guangdong.
look alike to each other?
Do you look alike to each other?
What did you told me?
Do you all look alike to each other?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes?
Sometimes, depending on which way if I go up, that one from the China. If I go down, that one from the Thailand.
Yeah, you know what? I had a pretty close friend of mine, 7th, 8th grade, all through high school, went to school with him. But my freshman year, or sophomore year, I saw a different guy, and he looked just like my friend to me. I'm like, hey, I don't want to say the name because it's like so unique.
For me, I look like a Jackie Chan.
And he's like, I'm not.
I look like a Jackie Chan, not like a Jackie Chung. I wouldn't. You play the music, the Jackie Chung. No, I don't look like that. I look like more like a Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, okay, but not old because Jackie Chan's old now.
I don't like that one.
Right on.
I have family members that I think look like I can't.
I've been in Los Angeles many years.
Well, right on. It's good to hear from you, LINGYU. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Take my call, James.
Yeah. Take care. Bye. Wow.
Very interesting.
I couldn't tell if he's a fake accent and trolling or if he's real.
At first, I thought it was fake, but he really stuck to it. So
yeah, which made it an okay call, I think. But anyway, let me get to SKRILL Kill of the Misfit Nation in Florida on the line with Crishaun the Don. What's up, man?
My co-host.
Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing well.
Hey, Skrillard.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me on your show, brother.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for
it.
calling. Always an honor.
Of course. Hey, I had I wanted to talk about the South African thing and what would happen if white people left America. That Mark guy was kind of weird though. He left a weird taste in my mouth. Pause. It's not that I don't have a problem with people who are outwardly racist. It's America. You can do what you want.
Right.
It's just I have respect and reverence for this country as somebody who is a child or a child of immigrants who was born here, immigrants who came here the right way. Right. That's important. Not illegal immigrants. Immigrants who came here the right way, made a life for themselves. So as somebody who's not a foundational Black American, right, as they would like to say, I can see where if everybody had the mindset, if every Black person in America just had the mindset of somebody who wasn't born in America, they would fucking love this country, but they don't. They take it for granted, and it's causing fatigue to the point where people like Mark make more sense when they talk. I mean, the points he was saying was correct. I agreed with a lot of things that he was saying. I don't agree that there aren't any Black leaders, but the problem is the culture, because there are plenty of Black leaders, but they're not looked at as the right ones. Like Larry Elder is not looked at as a Black leader. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he would be a phenomenal Black leader. But people want to look at fucking Offset like he's a Black leader. He's a fucking rapper.
Skrill, you're cursing.
The problem is the culture. Sorry, the kids. Sorry, the kids. I'm sorry,
kids.
I'm sorry. It's the kids, yes. But yes, I say all that to say that I think that, well, first of all, we have to look at the numbers, because I looked at it when you guys asked the question, right? So white people are 57, let's just call it 58% of the country. If they all just leave, we're automatically going to be fighting. We're talking 13% of Blacks versus 18% Hispanics, because the Hispanics are not, we're together now, but that's because apparently we have a quote-unquote common enemy, right? So if the common enemy leaves, we're going to fight each other.
Right.
And whoever wins that shit, they don't respect the Constitution. So that's out the window.
That's true.
They're gonna start ratifying shit. They're gonna change the government, and God forbid.
Skrill, you're cursing.
I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, he
cursing.
said you keep on cussing.
Oh, damn! I'm sorry.
So he cussed again.
I got a sailor's mouth. My bad. I'm sorry.
He's a Zoomer.
Remember,
He's a
Make
millennial
this for
guy.
the kids.
He can't help it.
Yeah, I can't help it. I'm working on it. God is working on me.
Right on.
What was I saying? Yeah. So when we talk about like a battle, we would have to battle it out. If the Hispanics win, then I think we would have a better chance. It's gonna sound crazy. We would have a better chance of having some sort of something similar. It would definitely be different.
Right.
Probably more cartel-y, right? But I think that we would probably be in a better place. Now, if it ended up with Black people winning, right? I mean, just like Homeboy said, if you look at the areas where majority Black rules, it's the mindset. It's the mindset of Blacks. They can't look at other people and say, okay, this guy's successful. How do I get to that step? And how do I model myself after that guy so I can be like that guy? No, they look at him as how dare he is successful. How do I tear that person down? And until they get rid of that mindset, they won't be able to prove themselves as leaders.
I agree with you, man. You may be aware, or you may not be aware, but over the recent decades in the LA area, it was reported even among the mainstream media and Southern Poverty Law Center that the Mexican cartels or the Mexican mafia had put a green light on blacks, shooting at them at random and just kind of forcing them out of the area because, well, partly probably because blacks are oftentimes a problem. They're violent towards the Hispanics. So they were doing, they were targeting innocent blacks at random. They killed one guy who, his father was on the Jesse Lee Peterson show multiple times. He was also on Sean Hannity, who was killed by an illegal alien. Just a young man. And they were trying to act like he was a gang member. I don't know if he was or wasn't, but it was a murder, you know? And so they have been fighting, and they would, even the blacks themselves would fight amongst each other, and the Hispanics themselves. And I think your assessment of who would win is probably right, too. Because,
I mean, it would be total chaos, but just because and I say we, because I'm not considered a black American, right, by them.
Yeah.
But when I say we, I'm just talking about people with my skin color. When we get together, it's always a fucking, oh my God, I'm sorry. It's always a pissing contest. It's always who's got the bigger schlong, you know what I mean? And it's like, bro, we're not here for that. If we came here collectively and we did what we had to do, it's really simple. You just have to follow the laws of the land, pay your taxes, which are too high, by the way. Shout out to Trump, he's doing a lot to fix that. But pay your taxes, follow the law, get some money, have a family, and just stay out the way. I don't see how it's so difficult. And if you're not in the place where you want to be, you can't look at another person who looks like you and say it's your fault. You know what I mean? The only people that black people have to blame for where they are in this country at this point is them. Because you can make a case for the '60s. We're not in the '60s anymore, bro. We're about to be in 2026. 2025 is almost over, and y'all are still talking about being held down by the white man. It's just time to shut up and nut up and get to work. If it's really that big of a deal, then get to work.
Right on, man. Right on.
Yep.
I appreciate it, Skrill. Skrill Kill out of Florida.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna stop rambling. My bad. I didn't mean to take over, and I'm sorry that I was cussing on your show. I'm sure the audience didn't like that, so I apologize, audience. But if you did like the cussing, you can follow us at the Misfit Nation. Appreciate you, Hake. Love you, Chris. I'll see you later, bro. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Skrill. Appreciate it. Take care. You know, Crishaun, we're at the top of the hour. I have super chats to read. Some of them pertinent to our discussion. I will read them in reverse order so that we get to the fresh ones first. That's called discrimination. I can do what I want, right? Cesar bought a coffee over on buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report. Baltimore and Detroit were both thriving cities that were built up by whites but then taken over by blacks around the 50s and 60s after racial riots causing the majority of whites to leave. Those places have never been the same and are constantly declining to this day. That's a true statement, Cesar. I agree with you. Some of it, I think, is NAFTA. They want to blame NAFTA. They don't want to blame the blacks. But NAFTA and the decline of manufacturing in the country also was a major factor. But, yeah, even poor, whiter areas are safer than the blacker areas. Thank you, Cesar. Yenrik Yogoda says, hello, this is a response to a super chat you received Monday saying out over nostalgia for when people tucked their shirts in. The you then soyed out. Oh, soying out. Oh, okay, soy. Okay, soy. Soy means you're turning beta. I defend soy. I'm pro-soy. Not necessarily completely, but I heard from this guy who said that soy is actually fine. But okay,
I hear it's all right if you don't like completely replace.
right.
Use it as a replacement. Yeah.
Yeah. Little tofu never hurt anybody. Is tofu better than pork? There's no anti-tofu biblical references, are there? Just anti-pork. Tofu wasn't invented yet, maybe. But anyway, soy wasn't invented. Anyway, soying out over nostalgia for when white people tucked their shirts in. You then soyed out over nostalgia for when people wore suits and ties. Oh yeah, because I said that Levi Strauss was a Jew, and the Jews are to blame for us wearing a T-shirt and jeans, which is I totally embrace. But anyway, shout out. I love the Jews. You soyed out over nostalgia. One, the only man who tucks in their shirt at my workplace is a closeted homosexual, says Yenrik. And two, the Maori parliament members in New Zealand wear suit and ties, but they still do their soy out Haka dance. Haka, haka, haka. You seen that? That's so crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's always silly to me.
I know, and it's like a woman, a young lady brought it in. A young lady became like a congressman or parliamentarian.
Yeah, yeah. It's the faces they make when they do it.
And they look so crazy. And you see whites in down there in, where is that, Kiwi land, New Zealand, doing it.
I believe all those like dances and those things that they do is like it's supposed to be like an intimidation thing, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So who are they trying to intimidate? I guess white people, but it works. That's why I said get your bravery back, get your savagery back a little bit.
That's funny. You know, I did see there's this Christian group who did the Haka dance in front of like an abortion clinic or LGBT rally or something like that. So it's Haka for Christ. But what a mess.
I'm with that super chatter though about the nostalgia thing. There is a lot of nostalgia going on where it's like,
yeah,
remember when people wore suits? It's like, bro, you're 30 years old. You don't even remember that.
Yeah, that's partly why I am with you on we are not the founding stock anymore. You know, we're not the founders. The founders, had they been grown up in our time, they would have been spoiled, fat and sassy. They might not have been spoiled. They might have been like Elon Musk types or, you know, rich, well-to-do men leaders of their community. But there is so much spoiling and temptation and, messed up families that has been in this society over these generations that you can't really blame people for being weak. It's understandable that people are weak and soft and cowards and all that stuff. It's not right, but those men were products of a tougher environment, from their parents to their the life that they lived. They suffered when they didn't do right. We don't suffer when we don't do right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but it could be a lot of it is just people were being naive, and we did have a safe society in America at a point, but like like the whole keeping your doors unlocked, like all it took was somebody getting murdered for that to change in like a lot of neighborhoods.
True.
Just one person. So it's like that opportunity was always there. And the potential for that to happen was always there.
Right.
You just were naive about it.
Yeah. Because we could trust one another.
Yeah. Maybe, but you couldn't. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There is obviously there is a societal trust that you have, but it doesn't mean I'm going to, leave my stuff unlocked.
Yeah.
So anybody can go. There's a level of naivete to that.
For sure. Yeah. Whites are too trusting many times, or too guilt-ridden, not to trust. You not to blindly trust nowadays. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's sad because it really is sad. That's where I empathize with white people. Is you were trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But it's you were too weak. You were too weak, and you let everything go. And I think it's just the thing that perplexes me is like how did white people let it get this far?
Yeah.
To where it's like now you can't even go on a subway without getting punched in the head. And then there's like 40 other white people standing around watching it happen.
That's
and then they all go and complain on the internet that we're losing our country.
I know. That's
It's like,
why
what-
I really admire Trump, guys like Trump, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who are just, they know when to get tough. And so hopefully we can, maybe turn this a little bit around.
I hope there's people taking that.
I don't have high hopes, honestly.
I don't either, but
Yeah.
I hope.
But I do appreciate seeing Trump's valorous attempt, and he has a can-do attitude. I don't want him to be dismayed, and I don't think he would be dismayed by us expressing doubt.
Yeah. And just so, because I don't disclaimer anything, but
Yeah.
I'm disclaimering this. Like, this isn't me coming on here to beat up on white people. I'm trying to get you guys to stand up for yourselves so we don't lose this country. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's just odd to me where I'll have like a lot of people, like a lot of white guys arguing and giving excuses on why they don't do it. And it's like, oh, well, I'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'll get, and it's like, do you need permission to protect your family? Like, do you think your kids are going to be like, oh, I'm, glad dad didn't protect us, but I'm glad he didn't get in trouble. That's
Yeah.
the important thing here.
We can overcome the FBI. In fact, some of the FBI might even be on our side.
Yes.
There's no if it weren't for the FBI, because if it weren't for the, let's not deal in ifs. Anyway.
Well, they also do those things to set examples,
right.
so that you are scared.
Yep.
So that like Mark can go, oh, remember, Eugene, whatever his name is,
Yeah.
from back in 1965. That happened, so we can't do it now. And it's like you're falling for it all. You're falling for the scare tactics. You're falling for the gaslighting. You're falling for the brainwashing.
Indeed.
You don't even realize it.
Barbecue Pringle. I
sounds
sort of
good.
like barbecue now. The West is going to get darker, more obese, less hetero, and the IQ is falling well below 100, all by design. Wow. Dark times.
Yeah.
Cesar, three. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was having an argument with a Muslim guy, and he goes, "The West is gonna fall," and I almost wanted to like argue with him, but I'm like, God, you're kind of right. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Cesar 3 Coffee. Sup, Hake? I gotta say, Crishaun the Don is #1 top guest on your show. He reminds me of you, but an edgier version. If it were up to me, I would love to see you guys do a show once a week. Thank you, Cesar.
Oh,
That's cool.
thank you, Cesar.
Carver.
Thank you.
Hey, Hake, due to some unfortunate circumstances, I'll be unable to catch the show live regularly in the foreseeable future. Because of the situation, I'm forced to make predictive commentary. Upcoming days episode to simulate being in the live chat. Here goes. Nice looking shirt. Thanks, man. Where's George Zimmerman when we need him? Wow. He called it. Mark is right. The black collar from earlier is stupid. Did we have a black collar yet? I forget.
I don't think.
Insert name here is Hake's 48th favorite Jew. The Ukraine is such a scam. Take that, Kevin Howe. Obvious Globe confirmed. Fob Friday is the best. Hey, Fob Friday with LINGYU. Hopefully you didn't. Hopefully that's not a Chinese cuss word that I'm saying something about
Bob.
myself. Yeah. I'm confident most of these will be correct, relevant, and seamlessly fit into the program. I won't know till I watch later this evening. Now I know how those farmers felt in South Africa. Indeed, man.
He pretty much nailed it. I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
totally. Nice. Okay, and then there was at least a couple more. Yeah, Manuel yesterday called in saying Alan yesterday is definitely white. We love gardens. Laughing face with tears coming out. He also says with 5 coffees, 16%, 7 million of blacks, total population of 45 million, have been convicted of violent crimes, he says. Poor Ronnie, I understand math is difficult because of DEI, but 2%, 900,000, isn't accurate. Thank you, Manuel. I don't know if you caught Ron in Ohio was saying less than 2% of black Americans commit violent crimes and murder or something like that. He kind of merged the two at one point. I wasn't sure what he was talking about. But
Yeah,
that's
it gets so weird with statistics that
yeah.
Because then I tried to even look up statistics like the Ronnie thing with the 2%. And I'm like, I
Right.
don't even know what the
Don't even know where
What
to
are we
start
looking for?
because the FBI
Yeah, and then
doesn't. The FBI doesn't have complete numbers. You could go to crimeresearch.org, and John Arlott Jr. PhD has some pretty good numbers. I would bet,
Mm.
and he's not into the pro-white thing, I don't think. Or if you wanted to go to the pro-white sources, you could check American Renaissance, and they're pretty thorough in their stats. But
Yeah, that's the thing. I haven't found that the pro-white side has like been lying about stats or anything at this point.
At least the ones who are
blacks will
like
just make
actually
up.
careful. There's some
The ones that are careful.
There's
yeah,
some people
yeah.
in chat who may misstate, or callers or whatever, who may misstate the facts.
misstate or misinterpret or
Yeah.
just throw out something.
But the
mean, we all
Jared
do
Taylor
it.
and all them, he's like, they have no reason to it. They want it to be accurate. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. I don't think it's. I mean, I don't think I need stats to believe or to back up my belief that blacks are committing more violent crimes. It's just I see it.
that's true.
You know.
Oh, and I do have a few Streamlabs donations from Gregatron and Lin Yen Chin. Oh yeah, Lin Yen Chin is not a fan, huh? Okay, so Gregatron stated, Hake, you are my favorite white man on the internet. Nick, my favorite Canadian Mexican. Joel, my favorite Creole person. Hassan, my favorite Allahu Akbar person. And Jesse, my favorite old black person. It's an amazing network. Thanks, man. Lin Yen Chin says, Lord Goodhair and Crush on the Dawn, the real change is most adult males were nostril breathers in the pioneering days. Nostril breathing is the true human way. Intellectual is the use of the mouth for breathing. Degenerate. Mouth breathing kills sapience, sanity. Ask Crush on Dawn, he's calling you Crush on instead of Crishaun, and other guys, if he can understand my explanation on how to use exercise to measure one's level of inner stillness. Tell her, he's calling you a her, gaslighting is a petty victim term like racism and hypocrisy. She, meaning Crishaun, is insane and a LARP, live action role play. Do you follow that?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm here. I'm actually flesh and bone. You're just a bunch of words on a screen, Lin Yen Chin. So I don't know who's LARPing here. You're mouth breathing. I mean, I like breathing exercises. I think they work.
Nice.
I don't know if that like equates to intelligence level. I know a lot of dummies that meditate.
Oh. Do they breathe through their nose, though?
That's a good question.
And do they have true inner stillness? Or are they the liberal kind of Buddha meditation?
And why is he misgendering me?
Shout out. Oh, because he thinks that you're basically a woman. And I forget why. But
He doesn't even remember.
he may remember. I don't.
Yeah, he's like that kind of autistic that remembers every little thing.
Yeah. I don't know. But shout out to Lin Yen Chin. Thank you, man.
Yeah, shout outs to you.
Okay, we have the lines busy again. Let's get to STEV'N, a priority caller from Maryland. He is one of the priority callers. Yesterday I didn't get to him, I think. STEV'N, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, you're live with Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation.
He's who?
Crishaun.
Never heard of him.
Oh, he's never heard of you. Crishaun the
That's
Don of the Misfit Nation podcast. Misfit.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I got to answer the mark. I know two black nations.
Two black nations built by blacks, for blacks.
Built by blacks. India.
Okay.
I think we
Egypt.
should add the caveat successful
How
black
about Egypt?
nations. That's
Egypt doesn't
Yeah.
count. Egypt is not black.
that wasn't black.
Egypt is black. It's in Africa.
Just because it's in Africa doesn't mean it's black.
Okay.
And India is
India
not
was
black
not
just
Greek
because they're dark Asians doesn't mean they're black.
Wasn't there a lot of Roman
And India is
Greek
not.
influence
you
as
go.
well?
Isn't that how you go?
Say again.
If you dark, you're black. Isn't that what you say?
And India is only a functioning society thanks to, yeah, you're right, the Anglos.
It's not functioning.
Oh, yeah, it's not very functioning. The Anglos, you know, because we the Englishmen went over and turned it into a colony. Wasn't it a colony?
What was the name before India?
I don't know. I think
Persia?
Was it Persia?
As I know, it was always India.
I know, but we called it. India is in English.
Okay.
No, I don't know, but I think that I scoff. I think your two examples are laughable. One is even more ridiculous than the other, because
not even black.
Yeah, they're not even black. Egyptians were maybe mixed at one point.
Cleopatra was black.
No,
How about that?
We don't know that.
She sure didn't look like Elizabeth Taylor.
And Cleopatra was a woman. But
That's right.
But you're right.
She was Greek, wasn't she?
Maybe. Okay, so that was a great civilization, Egypt, and India too.
That's right.
Probably a great civilization,
and
I guess, at some
you guys
point.
haven't figured out how they made the pyramids.
Right.
Oh, God.
With all that smartness you guys got.
We use the Jews.
No. Pyramids aren't actually that important of a structure. It's just the fact that it's lasted so long, but it's obvious why it lasted so long. It's like the base. It's got a large base and a narrow top.
Figure out how to do it.
It's not that hard. It's a tomb. It's not like there's no real like mystery
do it with
to it.
sticks and levers.
You white guys was living in caves while we was walking around buildings in cities.
I know, but look at us now. The tables have turned.
Hey. As far as Mark again, that guy's second generation from Poland. And you know what they call Polish people, right?
Stupid.
Polacks.
And what's the other word in front of that?
Dumb
start with a
Polak.
D.
Dumb?
Yeah, the old Archie
you go.
Bunker.
Archie Bunker was famous for saying that, right? Remember Archie Bunker?
Oh, is that why we got the Polak jokes? I was joking about Polacks
I
before I
heard that
knew that they were
Archie
actually
Bunker.
even people.
I heard that before Archie Bunker.
I don't know why that's a stereotype. I don't know. Are they particularly stupid?
Why do we make fun of Polacks?
I get why Irish are drunks.
Pollock. Sometimes an offensive term for a Polak.
Polish
Pollack
people.
is used in the joke. Based on derogatory stereotypes. Stereotypes are usually based on something true, oftentimes.
And guess what color they were?
So-called white, but not normal white.
Hey.
Yeah, all whites are not equal. That's for sure. Shout out.
But you think we all are? As Mark called us savages, remember?
Well, no, we all have our favorite blacks too.
Even William, a black person, called black people savages, and he's black.
Right, but he's not a savage.
Why isn't he?
Because
He belongs to the black race.
I know, but it's not because you're black that you're savage. It's because you identify with being black that turns you savage. Just like Crishaun was warning about the whites. If the whites start identifying with the whiteness and taking stuff personally, like beta blacks do, then they're going to turn out like the blacks because of that anger, misidentification. Yep.
What is a beta black?
A black who's all into being black.
Is what?
A black who's all into being black.
A black that's sensitive about his race.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much all.
Oh, in that case, then I'm an alpha, a beta, a gamma, a delta, and an omega.
So you're super sensitive about your
I
race.
got 5 of them for you. 5 letters.
Did you know that this guy is 88 years old?
Is he?
Yeah.
You sound good for your age.
Yep. He married a German woman. She passed on. He outlived her.
Yes, I outlived her.
Yeah.
She's been gone 3 years. It's 22nd of June.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah.
But getting back to my friend Mark, Mark hates. Why does he hate black people? What have black people done to him?
It's not to. I don't know if they've done anything to him. It's just that they're being used for the destruction of his beautiful country, or his once beautiful country. And so he's an angry person, and he gets irritable. Don't you find that somewhat understandable?
No, I think he's just a little female dog. That's all.
Well, same thing. You just said the same thing as me, but I explained it with more understanding and compassion.
Yeah.
Nice hearing from you, man.
Maybe you better put another him in his panties. He'd be all right.
All right, I gotta go, Stephen. I have the lines full, and I only have 20 minutes, 30 minutes or less.
Okay. All right. I just want to let you guys know there was two black nations around.
Those were funny examples, man.
Good to talk to you, Stephen.
All right, take care.
All right.
Bye. Oh man,
He said India.
that was shocking. Okay.
I guess to answer Mark's question, I do believe that there have been black nations, I guess, if you want to throw those in there, but but not successful ones. I'm sure, like even in Africa, like what, Ethiopia or Nigeria or something, they tried at some point, but yeah, they're not good at organization.
Terrible.
And that's why also blacks would lose the war against Hispanics, because Hispanics can organize.
Yeah, because they're somewhat white, maybe. I don't know. I better not get into that. But yeah, I think that is it. Anthony in SoCal on the line here. I'm going to try to get to all of y'all. What's up, Anthony?
Hey, what's up, Hake? What's up, Crishaun? Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Hey, Anthony.
I'm glad STEV'N got on the call before me. I think he got at my point I wanted to make. I was curious, Crishaun, do you think the black and white paradigm Mark brings up is helpful for solving any real issues, or is it more of a simplified view that's just useful for news articles and political rhetoric?
Interesting question. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think I caught most of the question, but yeah, I think that's why I thought it was funny when he said that I'm being duped by the media, and it's like everything that he's angry about, and not to talk behind Mark's back here, but everything that he's angry about and people like him are angry about is just stuff they're reading and seeing on the internet, So like, yes, it's happening. I'm not sitting here and like denying the truth, but you're gonna have to face reality at some point. My question to anybody that believes this or believes what Mark believes is, what are you asking for? Are you asking for the government to step in and help you? Or are you asking for, like, I don't know, laws to be changed? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think
can I jump in before you respond? I think that his paradigm could be helpful, actually. It's sort of a not allowed to think or say, but there's a lot of truth to it, sort of wake-up call that just because it sounds racist and all that and favoritism and stuff doesn't mean that it's not true. And actually, I think Mark is onto something. Although he's angry and all that, that doesn't take away from the fact that he's right in a lot of the stuff that he's saying.
Yes.
And I think
I
it
totally
is
agree
helpful.
with that.
I think the black-white paradigm thing it is a helpful thing if we can approach it dispassionately.
And honestly.
Yeah. Well, I definitely don't mean to undermine any of the issues that do exist in certain communities in the United States. However, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, I want to get to my point, but the only reason I'd say is I find it problematic is, like Crishaun, I'm looking at you through my computer screen. I can't tell if you're white or black. I don't know, would Mark categorize Crishaun as white or black?
He's
Depends
mixed.
on what I'm saying that day.
He's mixed, and that's why we have a problem with him. He and Joel.
One day I'll call in. He wants to make me an honorary white. The next time I'll be on, he'll say that I have white guilt and I
and the reason why we think that way, a lot of times the whites think that way, and I wrote myself into this too a little bit, is because you can't. Everybody identifies with himself. except for people who've overcome identifying with themselves. And just because you don't think that you identify with your race, you identify with yourself. And people who identify with themselves are going to get tempted one way or another and be kind of unreliable. And so every single time, like a mixed person ends up siding a little bit more with the blacks than the normal white person.
Mm.
So it's, I say every single time, but all too often. They seem like they're going to work with you, and then when push comes to shove, there's a little issue that comes up. And with the mixed people, they want to stray away from identifying with race at all. And I get it, but on Earth, the people are different races, and you have to deal with it. So, go ahead.
Yeah, but hey,
well, it only matters if race is. I'm sorry. Can I just say this one thing before you carry on?
Yeah.
That only matters if we're gonna boil race down to it being genetics. You know what I mean? Because then it matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't. Like, you know. Other than that, like, what are we
the genetics
not capable of?
But it's also like the fallen state temptation of somebody's gonna say go back to your country, and are you gonna get offended by that, and then turn on the people who also said go back to your country, but they were right. Some people told you go back to your country and you were wrong, and they were wrong. Like our friend, I have friends of the show who've called in, and somebody went viral saying, then why didn't you stay in Mexico? This guy complaining about his son was.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, you need to leave. That classic. And but he was right. And then some of my callers who love Jesse, love me, are like, I was told go back to your country. And so this guy was wrong. And so that look-alike trauma of being discriminated against for being mixed or whatever, you start, there's just a fallen state temptation. It's not just genetics. It's also the identifying with yourself.
I was gonna say the fallen state is the identity.
Yeah, right.
The
that
whole
false
thing
identity.
Is like, there is a human need to identify with something, I guess, but that's why I think we have, like, God is what we have to use to satisfy that need.
Yeah.
The liberals have basically taken advantage of our need for that. Like, once I realized, like, the whole finding yourself and, finding out who you are, that's all a bunch of nonsense. It's not real. Like, and usually people that go out and find themselves end up realizing, oh, it was all back at home is where everything mattered.
Yeah.
My family. And it's like, yes, dummy. You didn't have to go to Italy to figure that out. So yeah, go ahead.
I see what you guys are saying. So I get your position. I would say that I disagree. I would say that ideology is fundamentally more powerful and more influential than race or genetics or color. For example, within Islam, you have tons of Black Americans and blacks all around the world that join Islam, even though Islam is really the religion of slave trading and is responsible for really the Oriental slave trade. Is even in the literature in the books, like in the Hadith, Muhammad would trade. There's a famous Hadith where he traded 2 black slaves for 1 white.
What's your point about
1 white slave?
I followed your thing about ideology is more powerful as a common identity, but then you got into the Muslim slave trade, which you lost me.
Oh, okay.
But
well, it's because my point in that was that Muslims, blacks would still join Islam even as an ideology.
Oh, I see.
Even though
because they don't care. They don't actually care about slavery. They just want to blame whites for slavery. I got you.
Yeah, but people will attract to an identity or the idea of an identity before the ideology. Some people will become Muslims before they even know what it is.
I agree with JLP. Get rid of all identities.
Yeah,
but you're right, Crishaun. They have no clue, and they don't care. It's just team up in hate and false identity.
That's what happens with most black people. They'll go, oh well, I'm black because I'm black,
and then they'll go to I'm an Israelite or whatever.
Right, well, it's not even just that. They'll say they're black, and then sometimes they don't even realize there's an entire ideology
Right.
that's connected
Of being
to being
black.
black.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
So that's the
Y-
thing
yeah.
is I think that's why identity is actually more I don't know, intoxicating
Yeah.
to humans than ideology.
People become identified with being Christian and with the Bible and all that stuff. So I think I'm not taking away from your ideology point. It's another trap of an identity, Anthony.
It might even be the second step.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely the
I'll
second
think
step.
about that more. No, that's a good point. I mean, the purpose of my call, I'll get to it. My concern with this, I mean, I don't want to undermine, the real issues in the communities that bond and you guys are working at fixing. However, in the next 50 years, I think the main threat to America is really going to be Islam. And I don't say that to be Islamophobic. So I'm curious, Crishaun, when you had that discussion with the Muslims saying the West will fall, what was that about exactly? Was that centered around just blacks, or is that centered around Islamic ideology? Because blacks are still forming their ideology. Like STEV'N calls it, and he says Cleopatra was black, even though she was married to Mark Antony with a C, not a K. That's how Greek he was, and she was also Greek. So there's clearly this idea of trying to rewrite history and create an anti-American ideology here in America, which the right people like you guys are countering. But the fundamental issue, I think, is the people who chant death to America.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that. I believe that's the biggest threat to America is Islam. I think it's the biggest threat to the world, to be honest, because they're trying to take over the world with Islam.
I'm not happy you said that. I'm kind of glad you think that way, because not a lot of Americans think that way, and I'm kind of concerned they're overusing certain language, and it's going to come to a point where we really do need to use that language, but it's going to be undermined and undervalued because it was overused so much. That's just my concern.
Well, it's like this. I'm very careful when I say this, and not for sensitivity purpose. It's for accuracy. My thing is I always say that Islam is the biggest threat to America. I don't say Muslims are the biggest threat, because I think there is a difference in that of like you're right. Ideology is the problem in that. But then the Muslim, the identity is the thing that attracts them to the ideology. So that's where I'm going with that. There was something else you said. I'm sorry.
Sorry, one thing, Crishaun. At the same
Go ahead,
time,
please.
And then I got to wrap it up.
Gotcha. I would say Islam is the snake in the grass and Muslims are the grass. And I think if you study the ideology and the religion, you'll notice how there's really dangerous elements to America of subversion ingrained within the religion. And I think that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, just to give you some context real quick, the conversation I was having with the Muslim was about the LGBTQ movement in America. So that's why he brought it to it's going to kill the West, the whole thing. And I was like, you know what? You can't argue with him on that, that side of it. And you can't say that Muslims are being hypocrites. They don't stand for the homosexuality
No, they are
thing.
hypocrites. No.
In that conversation.
Yeah.
They're hypocrites in general. Yeah, sure.
I got to run.
Okay.
Great call, Anthony. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Hank. LINGYU, please call again, man. We love you, bro. You're great.
Take care.
Great call, man.
A super chat. I was remiss in my duty. Lin Yen Chin says, Lord Goodhair, you refused to have him, that's Crishaun the Don, give feedback on my exercise/calmness system. 115 years ago, the Polish were, this is a second point, I think. The Polish were among America's unwanted, but had been flooding through the border. They were abhorred for theft of work and value in native white. Have him assess.
Polish were the Mexicans of white people, I guess.
Wow, yeah, apparently. But he said something to ask Crishaun to if he can understand my explanation of how to use exercise to measure one's level of inner stillness. I forgot to ask that. Make you answer.
I don't know. Sounds like a bunch of commie gobbledygook.
Communists don't exercise. Maybe they do. Lin Yen Chin says, Crush. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. Oh, go ahead. Just continue, and then I'll answer everything.
Crush, sister, says Lin Yen Chin. He's calling you sister. Mark wants boundaries to reset, to optimize the presence of his species and mitigate the overactive reproduction / competition of my species, black and yellow, and his kin and your own as his usurper, master of narrative spinning.
I don't know how I'm spinning narrative. Tell me what society in the world was able to enforce laws or do what you're saying there, reset to optimize the presence of his species. How is he going to do that without force or bravery? Other than that, you're just going to be begging for it.
And it has to be more than just force and bravery. It has to be cleverness, cunning as serpent and innocent as doves, so that you can convince the rest of the world that you were just and they have to go along with you. You know, when you dominate, you have to dominate where people are like, oh, okay, I guess the good guys won. You know? Interesting.
Yeah. You can't sit around doing breathing exercises all day. You got to actually get out there and fight.
Yeah, Lin Yen Chin is black and yellow. Shout out.
Yellow.
Actually, he's Jamaican. He's part Jamaican, like your crew. Nice. Okay. Back to calls. I have less than 15 minutes. David in Texas on the line here. David, thank you for calling. You're live with Crishaun the Don and Hake.
How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing fine.
Doing fine.
Good. So, I don't know if this is a parallel or a parallel in reverse, but with the South Africans and the Democrats that are supporting the Maryland dad.
Maryland man, yeah.
I find it odd that I kind of enjoy it because I think that it's a hill that I like to see the Democrats die on.
I feel like they've moved on already, actually, from Kilmar, Abrego Garcia. Yeah,
they turned on him.
They've dropped that because Trump's administration showed that he was allegedly hitting his woman and a gang member and stuff, according to some of his wife and others.
But I still see them talking about, that it was photoshopped. His tattoos on his knuckles. I'm just like,
yeah, that's only because they think they got a good point against Trump for Trump believing that they were really on his knuckles. The literal M and the S and the 1 and the 3 were literally on his knuckles when that was just explaining what those symbols were standing for.
Right.
They say.
Right.
So they thought they got one on Trump, but they've basically dropped that.
The tattoos were code because you can't have them.
Yeah.
You can't just say MS-13 on your knuckles.
Right.
So I wasn't stunned, sick, and shocked or appalled, but I was a little surprised that that Joel took the stance that he did this morning. It's just like, we're not keeping score. Of course, we're not keeping score. But if it's 59 to 20 million, I mean, dude, I don't understand why anybody would be upset about. I mean, that's not even a fraction of a drop in the water.
I know.
I don't care if they're white or pink or that doesn't matter to me. I can't even really understand. And I felt the desire, not the need to, but the desire to call him an attack.
Yeah, I get you.
But I waited and I refrained and I figured I would, since y'all are kind of still talking about it, I figured I would talk about it with you guys as well. Because I don't want to attack Joel. I just can't understand why he would take that stance at all. I mean,
there's all kinds of
like
there's all kinds of
in the situation.
Say again.
Even to be the devil's advocate in the situation. I mean, if he was like pretending to be obstinate about it, it's just like, dude. I mean, that is this isn't even a talking point about anything.
It just shows you, man, that you never know what's in people's minds. You got to be patient with people, like you were, and realize that there's just stuff that people just don't see.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been the same way, but more about myself. Like, you know, when I've been down in the dumps, I've been homeless.
Yeah.
And you know, when I hear Jesse talking about don't be messing with the homeless. You know, don't feed them, don't water them, don't look at them. Dude, I'm telling you, as an ex-homeless person, this is true, man. I was a miserable, angry, horrible excuse of a human being. I was miserable, and anger was my best friend, if you could call it that. But it was bad. So, I mean, everything that he says about homeless people, I'm like, yeah, that's for sure, man. You don't. I mean, there were times where, you know, I'd walk by a 7-Eleven, and I'm, you know, of course, I'm homeless. I'm on the street. I'm, you know, doing drugs. I'm not in a good place mentally, spiritually, physically, certainly financially. And people would leave their cars running, and, you know, I'm not like, man, I'm fixing to get this car.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's not how, trust me, that is not how I was brought up.
Yeah.
But drugs and alcohol have a tendency, when you abuse them especially, they have a tendency to, you know, make you not make right decisions. So there's no I don't have no judgment towards Joel. I just thought it was weird that he took that stance this morning. And that's it.
Nice.
Oh, and as we're at the end, the close of Parasite Awareness Week, I want to tell you there are 2 natural remedies, wormwood and black walnut. These are extracts that can help softly aiding and abetting the unwanted visitors.
Okay. Thanks, man. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Hey, man, Crishaun the Don, thank you for coming on with Hake, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Okay.
You too, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Have a good weekend.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
You too.
Bye. And before I close up shop, Maze from the sundown town of Dayton, Ohio. Maze, you're live with Crishaun the Don and Hake. How you doing?
Yes, I'm doing fine. Crishaun the Don gave his DNA, didn't he?
He
or
did.
What he was mixed with.
I think he did.
Yes, and so in this country, it used to be just black and white, with the white power telling people what to do. And now today, Mark want to go back to that day,
right?
But it's happening. And when it comes to crime, it's just like a addict. When it comes to crime, don't one group of people commit crime, and it came up through your media showing it to you every day. Black people committing crime, but it's funny what you do. So once y'all get that through y'all throat, and in your mind, and in your head, that y'all commit crimes and do things to people, and what are those people supposed to be? Those innocent people, what are they supposed to do? This people talking about them speaking up. Deshaun, what do you have for that answer?
I don't even know what your question was.
What you say?
I'm just in amazement of you.
That's what I want to know. So when it comes to crime, you overlook it and then when a black man get killed or somebody black get killed, you rejoice over it and call him a criminal.
I do.
But when y'all do stuff, it's like it's expunged, and you're not supposed to talk about it, and you might hear about it 5 years from later. Well, this man killed this person, and this man killed about 15 people, and we just found out about 10 years from now, or 10 years ago, and he did it, but he still killed people. And the only president that's been killed or shot was not shot by black people.
Well,
and
I think Maze, we're talking about violent crimes.
That's right. I'm saying crimes, period.
Yeah, crimes, period. Yeah, white people commit crimes. Like
James
I work
that they commit
where
crimes.
I work, I see it all the time.
You see it all the time, but you might see it, or you might hear about it in somebody that you know telling you about it, but you don't see it on your evening news every day, just like you do black people. And that's how people like Mark.
But that's partially your fault.
I don't hate no
Hold
Muslims
on,
they
Maze,
haven't did anything to me.
We hide our crimes.
Yeah, that's what
Maze,
I'm trying
that's
to say. You
kind of
have
your
them, then wanna
fault
talk about
because
everybody else
because the
crime.
black.
No, but
wanna
we don't do crimes out
Why
in the
don't William
open.
and Mark come and talk about it?
Crishaun is trying to tell you a point that we don't do crimes out in the open like black people do.
Yes, you do.
Not as much.
You do
Black
them, and
people
you
are-
do them just like they get expunged. Just like
Black
when you're
people are
young,
much
you
more
you commit a
abrasive
crime,
with their
your
crimes.
record
That
get
is true.
expunged.
But
Nobody never know anything about it. So when you
Maze,
got a .5,
here's another. Hold on, Maze. The reason
and
why.
Maze. Let
What?
Crishaun respond. He's trying to
Okay.
talk, and we gotta close up.
Okay.
It's because the media focuses more on black communities and the crime there because they claim that we don't focus enough on the black communities.
So why do you get the
And
feeling that
also-
you feel about black people that's all criminals like you think like y'all think they are?
They what? Say that
And
again.
Larry Elder, he's you want to say like who is he supposed to be? Nobody. You hated Colin Powell when he wanted to run for president. Oh no, we can't have him. He was a Republican.
Colin Powell is a lame-o. He
And
voted
also,
for Obama.
And Ethiopia was a country
She wants
so
to jump
well
around.
Yeah, but
put
that's
together,
because
and
black
it was
folks
destroyed
don't
by
get
what?
behind black Republicans.
What?
Black people don't get behind black Republicans. for
That's
the
right.
most
What you
part.
mean don't get behind? Black people live with black Republicans. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Just
back like what,
Caucasians live
400 years ago?
with Republicans, Democrats, and Republicans. They live together too.
What, 200 years ago?
That's a theory that you got that you don't know what's going on.
More close to
But the
100.
Muslims-
Are you claiming that most black people are Republicans?
I didn't say most, and the most black people don't commit crimes either.
I could maybe agree with that.
If you've never been around, that's what you're gonna do.
It's
So
hard to
we-
tell.
It's really hard to tell, I'll be honest.
It's not real life.
But how many black people how many black people follow the no snitching policy that aren't criminals?
No snitching policy.
Yeah.
We looking at the no snitching that's going on in the White House now. So
I
what
know,
are you
but
talking
you're
about?
changing the subject. How
Yeah,
many?
you're
you
what
asked me
about
how
it?
many- You're basically
What is a
saying
no
whites
snitching
do it
policy?
too.
Are you in
I'm saying that's
favor of
right.
black people
So once
snitching
you
on other
realize that
black
you
people?
doing with the same thing you trying
Maze.
to blame the black people on doing, you doing it. So why
Maze.
are we supposed to be afraid of you all?
Maze.
What?
He has a question.
Do you believe in black people snitching on other black people in the
What does
in the
snitching got to
hood?
do? If you commit a crime, regardless if you're black or white, it should be told.
Nice.
Yeah, sure. But
Maze,
if
what
you're
are you
in a
talking
black based maze,
That's
But
where
if
y'all
you're-
get confused at. Y'all, even the news. Tell your news Caucasian people that put the news out every day, and when they stick it up in black people, just stick y'all up there too so everybody can know who to be afraid of and not to be afraid of. And then you talk to hate the Muslims. Your president over there.
Not hate
with
them.
Muslims
We love them.
cooking and walking
And
with
we-
them.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of that?
and
No,
we
I
do
love
focus
it.
on white
Well, that's why you tell
on
people
white
what to love
crime.
and what not to like.
Hold on, Maze.
And what you must standing up
Maze.
for black people. Really?
We do focus on white crime. Look at all the
And then
true
you tell
crime
Mark
stuff
the
that
first
goes
president
on.
was
True
named
crime.
John Hanson. He go do his research and he might be in a state of shock.
Maze, did you
just
know
doesn't
that?
listen.
Did you know, Maze, that I heard from one caller on American Anchor Baby, I think, called Maze, who told Anchor Baby that Irania does not accept white criminals.
They don't.
So that
You
means
look that
that
up too and
whites
see it.
don't
Look
like
at
their
that.
white criminals. We are against white crime.
No. So you think y'all not criminals at all?
Well,
So
no,
you-
we
No,
know
no,
that
no,
we
no.
know that
Maze,
we
you're
are
missing
white criminals and we don't like
You
them.
got Caucasians sitting up there
Maze,
every day.
you're
just
missing the
just like
point.
you all do. That's how they're gonna do is find
Maze.
black crime.
We jail
Black-
our white
black-
criminals.
Me,
White
as a
people
person that's
don't
not
protect
of-
their criminals
of-
like black
of-
people
of-
do.
of
We
white
discriminate
power.
against
I wanna
our
see what y'all
criminals.
doing too.
Yeah.
Because you bring
At least
harm
for
to me. That's
now.
why they want to know what I look like. I say I look like the original Statue of Liberty.
Isn't that wonderful?
And you didn't know
Strong
about that,
black
so you
woman.
you don't want to talk about your history and the things that you did, but you always want to each and every day these videos that you're showing about black people, and but you turn around and talk about January 6th, you can talk about Trayvon Martin and all those people, but if you turn around and talk about January 6th, you see the same thing.
Something tells me you look more like the statue in Times Square.
What? No, I don't look like the one in Times Square. I said the original one.
Yeah, she showed it on American Anchor Baby.
I
You
didn't
got-
show it nowhere.
yeah?
No, Anchor
Was she
Baby.
a looker?
Anchor Baby.
Your business working?
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
when y'all get from y'all TV, Bluetooth, the TV and the internet and all that stuff.
I
when
gotta
you wanna
go.
show-
I have less than a
Black
minute.
people doing. Show yourself too.
Take care, Maze.
Maze,
Scale and have
I
a good
love
one.
you.
You too.
I love
Bye.
you to death, Maze.
Crishaun,
You're
that was
amazing.
Crishaun, that was fun. Crishaun the Don on the Misfit Nation. You going live tonight?
Yes, I am. We should be going live maybe 7, 8 o'clock
Sounds
on our
good.
backup channel.
Well, take care, guys. I gotta end the stream in less than 30 seconds. Bye.
Hake, thank you. Much
Thank you,
love.
man. Take care.
Don't take the bait. You know that they are fake. I rest my case, there's no debate. Listen to Hake. He tells it like it should. Them posers wish they could. They roaming around in the ground. Watch out, they lying now. Call me network's evil snake. That's why we listen to Hake. Hake, the Hake News.